Ready?
Okay, fire away.
Hey, you folks, glad you're here today. And we want to thank uh, everybody who's involved in putting on the RTR simply because it takes a boatload of volunteers and pretty active volunteers to put this thing on. We've got up here John, too much? Better? But I've got fuzz in my face. Okay, on my far left is John McManamy. Now, do you know how long it took me to get his name down right? You're still trying, I get that. He's a writer and a skunk whisperer, and he will tell you more about that in the coming time. Janet here is a phenomenal businesswoman, and she's a proponent of the Gus theory, and I will let her tell you about that. I'm in kindergarten compared to these two folks. I'm more of a nuts and bolts kind of person, and we'll tell you about that in a little bit too. Our hope for you this afternoon is that maybe through our volunteer experiences, we will give you ideas to bring a little peace, joy, and happiness more than you already have in the nomad lifestyle. All three of us have significant experience with the mental health system in the United States, and its well-meaning but sometimes deleterious effects on us. So we will talk about that also. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John to start out. Oh, you don't need that, do you?
Hello? Hello? Hello. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sit back down here. Okay, I'd like to. Whoop, I'm getting feedback. Is this good? Yep. Okay, I'd like to shout out to all the HOWA and RTR volunteers out there. If any of you guys can hear me, stand up, put your hand up, do jumping jacks. Yay, everybody. Love you, volunteers. Yeah. Yo, you. Close. Okay, so I'm John McManamy. This is my 9th year on the road, and I would have not lasted one day without the help and goodwill of friends and strangers. I think of Warner living in rural San Diego. In 2016, he offered me shelter after I was evicted 2 days upon arriving home from quadruple bypass surgery. He thought he was just being a good neighbor. Little did he know, I now had sanctuary to lick my wounds. I think of Leanna, a mere 1 month out on the road, living in Apache Junction. She opened her home to me and took me on long hikes in the Superstition Mountains. She thought she was simply getting me out in nature. Little did she know, my time on those rugged trails set the tone for every day of my life that followed. I think of Jack, 3 months later, a retiree volunteering at a travel center in the Blue Ridge Mountains. He thought he was giving me directions. Little did he know, he was gifting me a sense of connection. Finally, I think of Dennis, who after a full year on the road, 30 states and 13,000 miles later, welcomed me into his camp at my very first RTR in 2018. He thought he was simply being friendly. Little did he know, he was actually welcoming me home. Sadly, I learned just days ago that Dennis has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Dennis was a volunteer at the 2019 RTR. Dennis, I dedicate this talk to you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, when I think of these people, and many, many, many more, naturally, I want to give back. It's in our DNA. We volunteer, we help out, we're good neighbors. Often it's thankless work. We do it anyway. But mostly, it gives us meaning and purpose, a reason to wake up and get out of my pajama bottoms. Yep. Yep, got my jeans on today. Yep. So let me share with you a bit of my own story. In early 1999, following suicidal depression, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. My way of digging myself out of the hole I was in was to write on my diagnosis. I was already a journalist. I couldn't help it. I literally wrote my way out of the depression I was in. This led to 17 years as an expert patient writer and advocate, website, newsletter, blogs, books. These were exciting times. Half my time was paid work, half I was giving away my work or volunteering. Whether paid or given away or volunteer, I was motivated by one thing, namely, no one should ever have to go through one day of what I went through. It gave me a reason to get out of my pajama bottoms. Anyway, some 12 or 13 years into my life as an expert patient and advocate, I was invited to give a talk to our local NAMI. Any of you guys familiar with NAMI? Okay, got some hands up there. National Alliance on Mental Illness. And the NAMI I was affiliated, NAMI San Diego, I served on the board as vice president there. So in giving my talk, I said, we're not really built to be happy, I said. But people who have studied happiness, I went on to say, they've observed one common theme, namely that those who serve others lead far more satisfying lives than those simply out for themselves. In another day or two, NAMI San Diego would be holding its annual Inspirational Awards dinner, where we would be honoring 6 individuals in the community. It got me thinking, what do all these awardees have in common? Service to others, of course. Were they happy? Who knows? But they certainly had meaning in their lives. To a person, they were on a mission. They had a calling. How about you, I asked my audience? How many of you have a calling? A number of hands went up, nodding heads. You know, we're a mental health organization. Of course, everybody in the audience had a calling. By rights, I let my audience know, San Diego, NAMI San Diego should be the most miserable place on earth. You know, we're depressed, where you got all family members, all kinds of shit happening. You know, to a person, we'd been through hell and hell again. But everyone there had a calling. To a person, their lives had meaning. No surprise. These were people I wanted to be around. Well, that was then. The moon waxes, the moon wanes. Nothing lasts forever. In another couple of years, I would burn out. I was running on fumes. I could not see a way out of the life I was in. Excuse me. Yeah. Then my life unraveled. Then my heart quit on me. And that's when I learned a life lesson, a real important life lesson. You see, I had nothing left in me. I was in no position to give. It was a hard lesson, and I still struggle with it. All my life I'd been brought up to give, to put others before me. That receiving was almost an act of shame. Now, crazy how we fall for that crap. So here I was, 9.5 years ago, July of 2016. The big holy shit moment in my life, me in the hospital bed, the cardiologist with a tablet in his hand. They would have to operate me on me first thing in the morning, crack me open like a lobster. It was out of my hands. All I can say, thank heaven those people had meaning and purpose, from cleaning lady to head surgeon. It was my first lesson in gratitude. Many more lessons lay ahead. Every day, it seemed, the road served up at least one. Fast forward to nearly 1 year ago, late January 2024. I'm being medevaced out of Quartzsite. I'm strapped to a gurney in a helicopter. Next thing, I'm floating on air. Nothing to do but surrender. Never waste a good heart attack, I always say. Yeah, and never waste a good disaster either, okay? More lessons on receiving and gratitude. As a result, I felt something in me soften, something in me open up. Now, don't ask me to explain. Something inside just felt right. So months later, in what I call my magic forest near Flagstaff, I came up with a new Facebook group, Nomad Writers Group. Turns out, to the best of my knowledge, it's the only nomad group on Facebook serving writers and the only writers group serving nomads. Real quick, Nomad Writers Group offers a safe haven for creative souls to express themselves. We also meet regularly, face-to-face, and we have a camp over on Tyson Wash. If you're interested, please see me after the talk. So anyway, I thought I'd be setting up a writers group. Little did I know, in Nothing Flat, starting up a writers group vastly widened and deepened my connections in the nomad community. This is how I met Janet here. It also led to an association with Trish Tassin, who is putting together an anthology of women nomads telling their stories. These are stories that need to be told. If you're interested, if Trish or anybody connected with Trish is in the audience, stand up. Otherwise, see me after the talk about that. Also, I'm one of 10 nomads featured on Bob Wells's Mental Health on the Road series. And I think this topic will come up exactly this time tomorrow. If anybody's associated with that project who's talking tomorrow, is there any hand going up there? Do I see a hand? Okay, well, talk to me about that one too. Okay. Now, there's another side of me that you may know about. Can anybody in the audience guess? No, not the skunk. The didgeridoo. Yeah. So, thanks to people like Dennis, who I met at my first RTR, I became known in the nomad community as Didge John. That guy who plays didgeridoo. So of all things, it's crazy how these things work. Thanks to the Nomad Writers Group, I now aligned with two old friends, James and Rachel of Drums Manifesting Truth, and now I'm back to playing didgeridoo like I never played it before. Drum circles, sound meditations. So, okay, here's something totally crazy. In late February, with Drums Manifest Truth, we'll be putting on a Didge in the Desert gathering. And our aim is 50 didgeridoo players playing all at once. Oh, we've got 24 already lined up. Yep, if they're not there, we're making them, okay? Believe me, you won't want to miss this. This is even better than 100 bagpipers getting together, or 100 accordion players. Oh, and we'll need volunteers. James, I know you're out there somewhere. Yeah, can you stand up and raise your hand? Anybody interested? If you want to be a didge player, see James, we're producing didgeridoo players, okay? And I met him at my first winter in Quartzsite in 2018. It's been a great relationship. So, but anyway, trust me, after all this is over, working on this anthology project, Nomad Writers Group, Didge in the Desert, after all this is over, I'm going to find a quiet cave in Tibet and not come out for 10 years. So, to wrap up, 1, small acts of kindness can have huge impacts, can change lives. So, 1,000 billion thank yous to everyone over the years who gave me a helping hand, who, it turns out, gave me way more than a helping hand. 2, By finally learning to receive, I'm now in a much better position to give. It's sort of like a cycle of life, actually more like an ascending spiral. By giving, I receive, and receive, I give, and so on and so on. It just keeps getting better. 3, giving and volunteering and being good neighbors imbue us with meaning and purpose. By so doing, we lead far richer and more satisfying lives. So yes, please volunteer. It's good for you. But 4, a caution. Many of us are not ready for giving, at least not the type of giving we'd like. That's okay. If you're one of these people, let this be your time for receiving, for healing, whatever. Focus on receiving. This is important. By receiving, you're giving someone else the opportunity to give. So, thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. My time is up. Another shout out to all the volunteers out there. I'm going to turn it over to Julie now.
Thanks. I think I can use this one.
Oh, you can use that one. Okay, I'll turn this one off.
If I hold it close, right? Okay. John is quite an interesting fellow, and man, is he fun. I come from a little different perspective. I haven't had a heart attack. I haven't had many physical health problems, but I do come from a long, long, long line of therapists and psychiatrists who've tried to fix me my entire life. I've come from the bowels of the state hospital and, frankly, many other hospitals. 2 things helped me get past all this. And I'm not past it, but things happen a lot less often than they did before. Number 1 was nutrition. I cleaned up my diet, and all of a sudden I felt much, much better. But that's a topic for another day. Then I felt good enough to actually get out of my apartment and now my van to work with other people and help out without a lot of commitment. I go for short-term things because a lot of commitment scares the you-know-what out of me. So I go for short-term things that I can do that help other people. Like John says, it gives me a chance to give, and I receive at the same time. I've been on the Oregon coast painting a church. I've been in Dogsville in Missouri, and we'll talk about my sidekick Q-Tip in a minute. Contrary to popular belief, she is not my service dog nor my emotional support animal. I am her emotional support human. That sounds funny. We'll get to that. I do things I like. I give places like the QIA things I wouldn't do normally, like serve food or bake cakes. I'd never baked a cake in my life until this winter, and somebody said, "Hey, you can help me bake cakes." Okay. I did, I liked it, and that's kind of a regular thing now. But I don't do things that I don't like. If I can say no. My campmate is over at the QIA right now cashiering, and she says, "I've got to learn to say no." That's important too. You've got to take care of yourself. I just heard John a little while ago say, "Oh, I need a rest day. I won't be doing that." Take care of yourself. The volunteering won't help you unless you take real good care of yourself. If you don't feel like getting out of your van and you're not at that place in healing or whatever you're going through, you don't have to be a member of the bona fide member of the mental health system. You can just be out here because you're sick of life. And if you're not healed to the point that you want to get out of your van, there are tons of opportunities to volunteer online. HOWA has some. I'm sure Escapees and the Red Cross have others. Whatever you like to do, you do you. And if we've all got this little box in our hands, you can find something online to do with others and to communicate with others and to reach out to others. I personally like to volunteer outside the nomad community. I love all you nomads. I've been doing it for 8 years. It's given me my life back, but I love going across the country and volunteering with other things I like. One of those is sitting in my lap. I love dogs, and I go to a place called Dogsville in Missouri. It's part of the National Mill Dog Rescue. And they bring dogs from commercial breeders and from often unsavory situations in by the van load. I didn't need another dog. I've got a great dog in the car named Rodeo, along with Q-Tip here. He's her service dog. But I didn't need another dog, but I couldn't leave her behind after 2 weeks of volunteering with them. She was the first one they handed me off the truck, and it was a gagging experience. It was okay working with her for a couple weeks. I couldn't leave her behind, and she has shown me, for my mental health, she has shown me what it's like to come back from trauma. It's a long, arduous process, and I'm sure some of you are coming back from trauma too, or maybe you're successfully there. I'm not quite yet. But I've had her 2 years, and I had to teach her everything. I mean everything. And she has taught me that it's okay to have triggers that make things difficult for you or even panic you. If she hears a squeaky toy, I don't know what that meant in her former life. She was there for 8 years. But if she hears a squeaky toy, even on the radio, she panics and she's off. She'd be up at the medical center by now. And none of you could catch her. I couldn't catch her. So she has taught me to accept my triggers over the last 2 years and how to avoid them, and that they're okay too. I can still be of value to society even though I still have triggers. So that's Q-Tip's story in my lap here. I learn a lot about me and my journey from volunteering, like I did with Q-Tip. I learned I don't like to paint churches. I don't like to do certain things, so I don't volunteer for them. I do me. And we all should do us. It should be beneficial for the volunteer and the recipient. And if it's not, say no. It's okay to say no also. But that's my journey, and I've been on the road 8 years. I hope to be on the road many more. None of us really knows that. But volunteering all over the country will be part of that. My network around the country is so much larger. The Red Cross tent over here, Frank Ligorio, who volunteers all over the country. You ought to talk to him, and he has networked clear around the country, and I know Janet's going to talk about networking too. The bigger your network, the more help you can get and give wherever you are, whether you're in the nomad community or out feeling kind of lonely in your van. So that's my story.
Can I just chime in, Mark from Las Vegas?
Mark from Las Vegas.
Yeah. Just want to say, NAMI.org nationwide. We're nationwide, and we've been around for a minute. I got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder in 2001, but I just want to say you can go there. There's a warm line. Because we're also linked to 988. There's no shame. There's no guilt in calling 988. Here's what happens. Would you like to know what happens when you call 988?
No, let's hear.
Yeah? Okay. So I called 988 because I've been an advocate for NAMI for 20 years. So anyhow, I'm calling because I'm trying to find out what happens when you call 988, right? So I call it up and it says, thank you for calling the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you are a veteran in crisis, press 1 now. If you are LGBTQ between the ages of 18 and 25, press 2 now. All other callers, please hold briefly. And I got on the phone with this gal, and they patched me through to Reno, where the headquarters are. But the point is, I'll shut up really quick, is there's a warm line, which you can call when you just need to go, I'm going through this, and there's somebody there to talk to you, and they get on their payroll. And it might be like a student, and she's learning to become a psychologist. So she does this for credit, or a male, doing the same thing. Thank you. There's a warm line in Vegas and in Reno, and there's a couple. As you move across the country, they get dispatched to the cities that are very active, like San Diego, La Jolla, right? All right, peace from Vegas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the same vein, I needed help at the end of October when I got here to Quartzsite. And 988 not only talked to me then, they also called me back a week later to check on me, and then called me back a week after that to check again. So it is a safe way to get help when you need it. And he said they were volunteers. I don't know who they were, but it was helpful. And I didn't have to visit a hospital. I didn't have to get on any medications again. So those things are very valuable. And now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Janet, and she may enlighten you with her Gus theory here.
Thank you, Julie, John. I have learned that we are not put on this earth to feel happy. We are put on this earth to feel fully. And right now, I am anxious as heck. And if I'm scattered, there's a reason, okay? So I am feeling this fully, and I'm doing it anyways. Hoping to be an inspiration to all of you, okay? Little background, military brat, ACOA, adult child of an alcoholic, in 2000, and I joined the military. I was a truck driver. I worked for the railroad, been overseas on the economy. So I've been a nomad my whole life, I feel. My definition of a nomad is anyone who is seeking that which fulfills them. We're looking for greener pastures. We're looking for something more, because I guess we always learn, right? If we stop learning, we might as well die. So,
Amen.
Okay. 2007 came to the end of my alcoholism by spending 36 hours trying to not be here today. I was diagnosed bipolar 1 and schizoaffective, all the diagnoses, okay? And when I didn't die, I said, okay, Gus. God, universe, source, spirit, a rose by any other name is still a rose. So whatever you want to call a higher power, you can call it. I call it Gus. That's my Gus story. I said, okay, Gus, I'm not going to live the way I lived the last 35 years. And I worked with doctors. I found out I had military benefits from serving in the military. And so I did. I worked with doctors, medications. I had electroshock therapy, suicidal ideation, continuous. It was very challenging. And I persevered. I took those steps, and I didn't drink again. I'm 17 years sober now. the different programs. I did go through AA and work that program, ACOA. Lots of great programs out there to help with that and to help me overcome the mental health. I also volunteered for those programs, so I was treasurer, at the group, and you make the coffee and empty the ashtrays and everything in order to do that. I had that was due to like a panic attack when I was working. I had a good job, of course. And I got short-term disability and then long-term disability, and then the insurance didn't like paying me in disability, so they paid an attorney to get me on Social Security disability, right? When I did that, I got a little hefty check. So I bought myself a 29-foot travel trailer and an F-250, and I headed out. Now I'm living, right? That was 2010, and I was still in the suicidal ideation and the depression, and I couldn't even get out of my vehicle at like the Meteor City because I was afraid somebody would talk to me and they might find out. They may see the person that I think I am, and that scared the crap out of me. Very much the introvert, very much not the person I am today, I'll put it that way. Thank you. Breathe, right? That lasted 10 months. I parked my rig next to the barn where my daughter was renting on a ranch. And I woke up one morning, I heard something hit the rig, and I got out of bed and went to the window, looked out the window, and a 100-year-old oak tree went through my bedroom. Santa Ana winds had came up, and I took it as a sign that maybe I didn't need to be a nomad yet. Okay? So I went back to Oklahoma, went through more therapies, did the ECT, found out I had military benefits. I ended up going to Maine. The ladies loved me until I could love myself. And again, through volunteerism during all that time as well. I let my secret out. I let that thing I was going to take to the grave. Military sexual trauma. Through that, I found out that my daughter was not from my husband. She was from the rape. And that opened a whole ball of worms, too, that, caused a lot of trauma in a lot of people's lives that I didn't want to happen. And I got to heal. Kind of selfish in a way, but I got to heal. A couple years later, I'm on the other side of the depression now and the suicidal ideation, and I looked in the mirror, and I found out I love myself, and I could tell myself that I love myself. Yeah. Thank you. It was remarkable. Actually, I looked at my daughter, and I had this kind of vision, and she was this beautiful, wonderful goddess, And it clicked. I bore her, so I must be her. And that was the clicking moment. Look at your loved ones, they're beautiful. Give yourself the same grace and love that you would do others. Breathe. Military disability is pretty good. So I bought another truck and trailer. But before that, during my therapies, one of the ladies she heard about this guy, Bob Wells. I said, "What do you mean, Bob Wells?" Yeah, he's, da, 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 da. And I said, "Oh," so I started looking at him. She says, I want to buy a truck and trailer. I said, I can help you with that. And so we got her a rig and everything. I ended up getting myself another rig and came out here in 2020 with the camp with Bob and Camp with Sue Ann. Was my first time out here. Lisa Tong there was the very first time I ever boondocked. And I had no solar or anything, right? And she says, don't worry, you can just plug into my rig, right? So she got all this solar. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? It was so cool. And I got to meet all of y'all, and I got to come here, and I got to volunteer for HOWA. And I would use, there's an amazing group, Nomads Helping Nomads. They will get to you if you've locked your keys in your cars, or you got a flat tire, or any immediate need. They are right there, and they're 20, 30,000 strong, and they're all across the United States. So Nomads Helping Nomads, amazing people, all volunteer. And I wanted to go one step further. And so I did Nomads Helping Nomads Network. And we are all nothing but volunteers. However, Nomads Helping Nomads Network, we help each other physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and socially. And all we do is help each other. Not necessarily a hand out, a hand up. And it's over 16,000 strong, and that's what, 3 years ago? 16,000 strong, and we're all over, and we're global. I've got people in UK, I've got people in Croatia, Africa, Australia. People, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever been involved in. Geez, I'm not even looking at this stuff. But the most important thing is doing what you do in the moment, right now, is what's important to you. I found out that living in the past was not good for my head. I don't know about you, but the minute I start thinking about the things that happened in my past, I tend to relive those emotions. The body doesn't know. The body doesn't know that thought isn't happening right now sometimes. And so if you can keep your thoughts in the now and in the future, then you're much better off with your mental health. And volunteering really, really helps with that. The other thing is giving and receiving. I've always been a giver, and some of us givers, we think, oh, no, you need it more. Oh, you need it more. Oh, I can't take that. You need it more. And one of the things I found out is through receiving, you are letting them have the blessing. So you don't ever want to stop somebody from receiving a blessing by receiving. I became a conduit. I guess that's why I started Nomads Helping Nomads Network. Somebody would say, hey, Janet, I need this. I said, I'll see what I can do, or I don't have it. And 2 days later, it was like somebody go, hey, Janet, I got this here. Oh, I know where it goes. It's no longer mine anymore. No, I wasn't taking anything when I got my rig, right? I had a little 13-foot camper, the second one. I ain't got room for nothing. And they said, no, Janet, you can't. So I started taking things, and inevitably I would be able to give it away very quickly because I was just the pass-through. I was a conduit. I can do it. You can do it too. That's a Gus thing. Don't let anybody say you can't. You know why you're not where you want to be in life? Your butt's too big. But I don't know how. But I don't have enough money. But I can't do it. I think it's probably, was there anything else I needed? I think I'm good.
You are good.
I love you guys. I wouldn't be here without y'all. Look at me today. Look at me today. I couldn't even get out of my rig to go see the meteor crater because I was afraid somebody would talk to me. I'm dancing in the field today.
All right.
You don't have to dance in the field, but feel everything fully and have the courage to do what's in front of you, even if it's scary or doesn't feel good.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks, Janet and John. And we've got plenty of time here to open it up. If you have questions for any of us, just let us know who to direct it to. Oh, we've even got a microphone for you. I love these fuzzy microphones.
I don't want one.
It's kind of a beard fluffer.
Is that it?
That's working. I have 3 comment questions. One, you 3 are amazing and incredible. Thank you so much for being up here telling us your stories.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't deserve it. No.
Yes, you
Thank
do.
you. Thank you. You're awesome.
We like to laugh.
And can you please tell me what GUS stands for one more time?
God, universe, source, spirit.
Source Spirit.
I bought a little pickup. I have the Gus bus. I don't know if you ever know. I had the Gus bus. God, universe, source, spirit, the Gus bus. And then I bought a little pickup truck to pull behind, and I was gonna name it Gussie. God, universe, source, spirit, and you. You.
And the nomad to nomad, how do you find out more about that?
The Nomads Helping Nomads is a Facebook group, and all you got to do is sign on. I will be having a breakout session there. HOWA's honoring me and humbling me. You know, I get to talk about my group. When I'm here, I am HOWA. I wouldn't be here without Bob Wells and HOWA, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't promote myself. Although my group, you promote yourself, okay? But I am doing a breakout session today after this, and I'll be speaking about that and Luna Gaia Nomadic Village. Yeah, I'm a conduit.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, thank you.
What is a 988 line, and is it nationwide?
I don't know where the gentleman went who brought it up, but yes, I do believe it's nationwide now. Or if there's another number, you can get it through 211 nationwide. Call them and they will give you the crisis line nearest you.
Okay, thank you.
Just like to hear more about the Nomad Writers Group and how we can sit down and talk more. I'd love to connect with other writers.
Oh, you're a writer.
My name's Daniel Kraus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I can talk more after the talk, but I can tell you a little bit about it now.
Is there like a website or?
Yeah, it's Nomad Writers Group. We're a Facebook group, so just look that up on Facebook. It's a public group. Just sign on as a member. We'll welcome you. You can share some of your writing materials, and when we, I post the word of the day on the group. I forgot to do it today, actually. Something came up, and we have, what's that? The word's forgetfulness, yes. Great one. But we support each other. And, I thought we were just setting up a writers group. A lot of our face-to-face discussions, we support each other being outsiders because creative people are different, let's face it. We don't conform to the rules of muggles out there. And I've seen people do breakthroughs. They've had writer's blocks, and somehow the writer's blocks clear up. We support each other. We give a good, safe place for people to actually express themselves and be themselves. So this is kind of turning out to be a therapy group in many ways. So I moved my campsite about a quarter mile. We're in a forest south of Flagstaff. And, all kinds of crazy things are happening. I'm meditating, I'm sitting under trees, I'm playing banjo, I'm playing didgeridoo, I'm writing. In other words, I'm thoroughly having me time. Well, there's a local skunk. He visits all these campsites every night. And turns out I'm right in ground zero of his migratory route. So sometimes I see this guy twice or three times a night. Okay, so skunk, any linguists out there, skunk goes very nicely in a sentence with amygdala. Now, people know what an amygdala is. It's the part of the brain that sets off fight or flight. So it goes very well with panic response. So when I see this guy, it's like, so my mission is that my amygdala cannot set off his amygdala, because I don't want to see the end result of that outcome. So anyway, somebody gifted me a clam. Just a clam is like canopy tent, and it's the best thing to happen to campers since, rubbing two sticks together. So, and I'm dividing my time between sleeping in the clam and sleeping in the hammock. So, I'm sleeping in the hammock, and I feel my butt being rubbed. And, and I look down and it's the skunk, and it's not let that amygdala go off. And same thing when I slept in the clam, I hear this scritch, scritch, scritch sound. And I look out through the mesh walls of the clam, and there's a skunk. By now I've called him Flower after the skunk and Bambi. And, I see these two beady yellow eyes and this tail that is furling like a flag. He won't go away. I mean, he's just looking at me right in the eyes. And so I go, woof, woof. And that's a calculated risk because, once again, my amygdala could set off his amygdala. But I found the woof, woof will send him away for the time being. But, one day, one night I'm in my clam, and I forgot I had something in my van. And I unzip my clam and look out, and there's Flower there, and he's staring right at me with his tail up. And that's when I decide whatever it was in my van I was about to get, it's not important. So I slunk back into my clam with my tail between my legs. Skunk, Flower, his tail was still up. So anyway, so it's siege warfare at this stage. Days go by, maybe a week. And then we start getting used to each other. So, I hear scritch, squitch, and my butt being rubbed in the hammock, and it's like, oh, hi, skunk, how's your day been? And he's there, oh, hi, human. Yeah, it's good, I suppose. I'll see you later. And, yeah, see you later, skunk. And same thing, he goes scritch, scritch outside my clam, and, hi, skunk. And then next thing, I'm walking back and forth in my van, and it's almost like he's a pet cat going with me back and forth. And we're getting used to each other, and it's like, okay, I guess his system isn't about to go off, and we're cool with each other. And then it gets loud, oh, I love you, Flower. Where are you? I miss you. And now I'm starting to feel like St. Francis of Assisi. So I Google all the images of St. Francis of Assisi, and he's out there in the forest with the birds and the squirrels and the deers and the raccoons, but no skunk. So I'm pioneering, covering new ground here. My final exam is coming up. So 2 a.m, I'm in my clam, comfortably in my sleeping bag, and and I feel my legs being gently massaged. And I switch on my headlamp, and there's Flower, rubbing my legs. And it's like, okay, but by this time, my amygdala doesn't respond. So it's like, it's as if, it's out of my control. My brain has been reprogrammed by now. So it's as if my pet's cat is in my bed. Now here I'm in bed with a skunk. So I kind of get up and say, oh, hi, Flower. Yeah, no problem. We'll get you out of here. And so he comes walking with me to the door, to the flap, and he just holds his nose there as if he's a cat waiting to be let out. So I have to, and he's got his nose right where the zipper to the flap is. I put my hand down, and it has to touch, the back of my hand touches his nose. And then I zip up, and then he shoots off into the night. And it's like, okay, yeah, have a good evening, skunk, flower. You know, I really miss that guy. I love him. So that's my skunk story.
The final chapter may not be written if you're going back to Willard Springs. Skunk Flower might be waiting for you next year.
Well, you were only a quarter mile away. Might be waiting for you. Your turn next.
I smelled him plenty, but I never saw a flower. Thanks for coming, folks. If you have any questions, Janet's breakout session is happening
After, I think, 2.
Yeah,
I
and,
just-
and if anybody wants to see me afterwards, ask any questions, I'll be here till they kick me out. So,
I just wanted to let y'all know there's still plenty of time to volunteer right here with HOWA. We still have a couple more days. We still have of the sessions. We still have teardown. It's one of the best ways to, especially if you're a newbie, right? It kind of breaks the ice because now you're focused on doing a task while rubbing elbows with strangers. Plenty of opportunities. There's Van Aid coming up all over the community of Quartzsite. Food bank, tons and tons of opportunities to just a day, just a shift. Just check it out, see how you feel, okay? Nomads Helping Nomads Network. The tagline is, we are all travelers on this road called life, and we can help each other achieve abundance. Thank y'all.